Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Please reach out to me directly. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com for pricing. Today, we're discussing a watch launched in 2015, and while I've certainly shot 5524Gs before, this one is unlike any that came prior. As you can see at the base of the dial, a small mark of distinction that makes this an investment in a class by itself. So the timepiece remains 42 millimeters in diameter in white gold, and it is white gold. Gray gold is the proper term, so there's no rhodium plating on the outside. It is white all the way through. This is a gold Patek's been using since at least 2006, and it is the upscale alternative to conventional rhodium-plated white gold. 42 millimeters in diameter here combines with thickness of 11.1 millimeters and a lug-to-lug dimension of 50.6 millimeters, and it has a 21 millimeter spacing between the lugs. Now you can see that I am able to throw the watch on my wrist, and it's large. It's certainly a sizable piece. I wouldn't recommend it on a wrist smaller than 15 centimeters circumference. My wrist is 16 centimeters in circumference. Taking a quick look at the strap, hardware and software, this is designed to be a pilot's watch. Now, it's a 5524G, but technically this is the Patek Philippe Calatrava Pilot Travel Time. And the pilot imagery is played up. Here we have a pilot-style calfskin strap in light brown with a contrasting stitch. We even have a little bit of a cross-hatching built in, like you would have seen on vintage aviation apparel. And then we have a Clevis-style buckle that is unique to these models. It's designed to look like the locking fixture you would find, for example, on the pockets of vintage aviation jackets. So it's counterweighted and highly stylized. This is anything but a default design buckle at Patek. You will only find it on the Calatrava pilots. Taking a quick look at the case, it's relatively simple. You can see it's blended lug, a little bit like a Calatrava, but more massive and sporty. You can see that there's also an inward step of the bezel. So instead of just having a very sheer, tall side, they step the bezel back a little bit to make it look thinner in profile. The bezel's otherwise conical, and then you can see that there's a slight camber to the sapphire. You can see the strap, of course, is a Patek Philippe factory strap in outstanding condition, calfskin on both sides with pull tab spring bars on the reverse, so you can use your fingernail to pop the strap off without tools. That gray gold is a slightly warmer color than rhodium-plated white gold, which looks more like platinum until it scratches. Well, if this scratches, the gold underneath is the same color. Now you can see it as a modular complication as the crown is substantially below the center line of the case. And then on the opposite side, you can see we have two little adjusters that actually have a quarter turn locking action. So see how they're locked? Well, I can unlock them with a quarter turn, and now I can operate the travel time function. Because this watch is sportier than your conventional Calatrava, it's rated to 60 meters water resistance rather than the Calatrava's standard 30. These little pushers lock so you can't accidentally change your local time. Now you can see there's a reference time represented by a skeletonized and white varnished hands. So that is our secondary time zone. And because it's in a 12-hour format, these two hands travel at the same speed. So if you want to clean up the dial of the watch, you don't have to have two readily apparent independent hour hands. It can look like a conventional three-hand watch until you require that second time zone. Now, the way it can give you 24-hour time is by displaying your home time. So your home time is the time where you are not. Your local time is the time where you are. So you can see as I make these changes to the local time, we pass into the early morning and then in the other direction from early morning into later morning. So we have that day-night indicator for both the local and the reference time. Most watches like this will only feature an AM/PM indicator for your reference or home time. Now, of course, the watch features a travel time function that is geared to the date at center, and you can travel east or west across the international date line. It'll move in both directions. If you need independent adjustment of the date, you can do so with the pusher adjuster on the case flank. Now, that co-signature on the dial, Tiffany & Co. is a legendary retailer of Patek Philippe watches, and it has been since the middle of the 19th century. These dials are official, unlike, for example, the Tiffany-signed Rolex watches, which were done aftermarket at Tiffany without Rolex's permission. These are actually made by Patek Philippe for Tiffany. So the painting is done in-house at Henri Stern, and these models, retailed by Tiffany, are available optionally with the Tiffany signature. Not all Tiffany retailed Patek watches feature it, so it is a distinction to have it there. Now the rest of the dial is standard 5524, meaning we have a lovely matte granular dark blue. The navy blue dial has a wonderful matte non-reflective quality to it. We have broadsword hands at center. We have a counterweighted white varnished constant seconds hand. There's a railroad track outboard for reading your minutes and seconds. And then we have applied white gold Arabic numerals with a radial date indicator and our 2 AM PM indicators. The watch is remarkably well loomed. This is one of the sportiest Calatravas ever made. From the complication to the style to the water resistance to the lume, this is a watch designed to be worn every day. Taking a look at the case back, you can see this is another 324 base. So SCFUS, and we have a central rotor on ceramic bearings winding unidirectionally. The watch has a power reserve between 35 and 45 hours. It's adjusted in 6 positions. It has a Gyromax style free sprung balance. It beats away at 4 Hertz, and it has an anti-magnetic Spiromax silicone hairspring. So all these features in tandem add up to a watch that Patek guarantees to run no worse than -3 plus 2 seconds per day and pivots on 29 jewels. It is a high horology movement hand finished, and you can see many of the characteristics of a hand finished movement here, from mirrored anglage at the edge of the bridges to linear and circular Côte de Genève across bridges and rotor. There's engine turning on the center of the rotor and in a larger perlage on the base plate too. All screw heads are black polished with chamfered slots in circumference, and the wheels are satinated. You can also see that the pegs, which are used to help locate the bridges, have been black polished on their top. If you love this watch, reach out to me. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.